Hello everyone, welcome to episode 7 of the movement called #We2, as you all know, a platform created by the professional women for the corporate women. I'm your host Poonam Vijay, the founder of the movement and the community. This month, #We2 decided to raise awareness around the most important but the most neglected topic purely because of the great stigma attached to it: inclusion and infertility in the corporate couples. According to a report published by Harvard Business Review, and I'm quoting an excellent research here, a write-up by Serena G. Sohrab and Nada Basir, globally, latest infertility is a common issue and around 1 in 6 couples seek fertility treatment. Pregnancy and childbirth are highly visible in the workplaces, whereas fertility challenges tend to be visible and silent. Fertility treatments can be lengthy and have serious emotional, physical, as well as financial impact on both men and women. Many employees choose not to share their infertility struggles out of the concern that doing so will have negative effect on their careers, which prevents them from receiving support from their employers, HR or managers. It's time employers and business leaders who are serious about inclusion to talk about infertility openly and create policies that support employees in the very important phase of family planning. Please join me in welcoming our eminent panelist and another stellar cross-border lineup of women leaders, trust me, who have come together to break all barriers. Let's welcome episode 7 panelist, Dr. Vaishali RK, very well-known infertility specialist. I'm joined by Ms. Ramma Cheema, founder Beti, prominent anchor with Pakistan TV, Ms. Preeti Chopra, global human resources head with leading organizations, Ms. Aarti Kapoor, 20 years of HR operations leadership specializing in diversity and inclusion, and the very charming Dr. Soumya B, Vice President Strategic HR, Gold Star Jewelry. Let's We2. Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to episode 7 of #We2. Today I'm super excited because I have a panel that is also including cross-border experts. And another excitement is because we will be dealing with a topic that is something never dealt with ever by women leaders. So I am super excited to welcome all of you. And without much ado, let me begin with the doctor in the panel today, Dr. Vaishali RK. Vaishali, I have a specific question and a short story to begin with. It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and the nurse struggles to find Sarah's waiting to take her blood. Sarah's arms are bruised. She's been coming to the clinic for 9 days in a row for morning blood work. She's in the 4th year of her treatment and has no idea when it will end. Sarah doesn't have cancer or terminal illness, as we know in the medical industry. She's just trying to have a baby. When she started her treatment, she expected it to work quickly. She didn't feel comfortable telling her boss, was careful not to overload herself with stressful work, and didn't apply when a better position opened in her department or function. She was focused, or should we say forced, to take her care. Sarah's case is no exception. I come to you to tell us what kind of corporate women come to you and what has been your experience when it comes to the topic inclusion and infertility.
Thank you, Poonam, for having me on this panel. It's my pleasure to be a part of this platform to introduce and to speak on this topic. Coming to the point, the story that you have told me is not uncommon. Basically, there are many women who are trying to hide their fertility as an issue, because what we see in today's world is women are not as open to their bosses and to the employers as far as their fertility problem is concerned. Now, why this basically happens is because we all know in the era of 21st century, all women are in a race, like right from the age of 6 or 7. We are all dealing with competitive examination, especially in a country like India, where the employment opportunities and competition and competitive exams are basically the ballpark figure of you to be something and to be recognized as something in the society, isn't it? So everybody is basically compared with a yardstick called as numbers. So for that case, what happens is right from the childhood, a woman or a man, I would not differentiate in the gender point because everybody faces the same thing. They are put through a lot of stress. What happens is by the time we realize that we have to do so, we have to basically settle and have something. And the inherent nature of human being is basically to have a child, a family, to procreate, isn't it? So that comes at a very late stage in our world, which is the corporate world. So in my experience, I see a lot of women who come to me and they have varied issues. First and foremost, most of the times when I see women uh, at the age of 30, 35 is the time when they realize that they want to have a child. Now, reason I cannot ask them because it's a very personal question as to why have you decided to have a child so late? Because that puts a question on me as an expert. So then they, so it's very difficult for me to ask that question. Never mind, but I'm always there to help. By the time the woman comes to me at the age of 30 or 32, most of her ovarian reserves, which we form in the which we find in the form of eggs, is already coming to a decline. The quality and the number of eggs is going down slowly and steadily, as a result of which it becomes quite difficult for women to conceive. Also, if you see their partners, there are a lot of couples, where in the corporate world, the husband is living abroad. He has his own targets. He's traveling across the globe. The lady is somewhere. He is somewhere. As a result of which, that intimacy, the personal intimacy, the sexual intimacy, is a big question mark these days. And hence, these women, they find very difficult to take a call conjointly because they don't know when in their life they are going to come and settle on the same platform. So that adds on to the delay of the decisions that they are going to take to have a child. Now, considering all these factors, when women come and decide to have a child, first and foremost is, like I said, the partner is not with them most of the times. They have to take this call by themselves. Women are not having their family around because they are living in Bombay, Pune, or maybe Delhi, Noida. So at these places, it is not always possible for them to carry their in-laws with them because they have their own, what do we say, they have their own preferences to stay outside the city. So all, if you see all these factors, a woman is basically left too much alone by herself to take this call. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if you ask me, if there are 100 women suffering from this problem, basically there are more than 70 to 80% of the women.
I think there is a little glitch. Uh-oh. Okay, no problem. Dr. Vaishali would be back. I think Dr. Vaishali has set the stage for. Yeah, sorry, we lost you for a minute, Dr. Vaishali. You can just complete your last sentence.
So, delayed marriages, delayed decisions, lack of physical intimacy, and no social and no family support. These are the reasons by which a woman is thrown, in a stage of loneliness. Now, coming to the last point and the most important point is now, if these problems are non-modifiable, because these are going to be the problems of every woman, isn't it? Now, where we can make a change is basically at the workplace. So when most of the time the woman is spending in the workplace more than 8 to 10 hours in the day, she's going to spend time at the workplace. There is a point where the employers and the bosses should basically include the topic of fertility in their life. And this should be like how we do an annual health checkup, isn't it? Corporate health checkup is a part of the annual mandatory requirements, isn't it? The same way, having, kind of asking or speaking to women employees who want to complete their family or want to have a child, basically should be a part and parcel of the corporate health program, is something that I would like to add on to this particular platform.
Very valid point, Dr. Vaishali. I think you just nailed it. And it has also set the stage right for our discussion to go along. Rama, I want to come to you now. And as you know, getting at it isn't easy. And I could not find any better example for this panel discussion, but to bring you on to talk to us from cross borders. You have been leading it from the front, Rama. And I don't know how to put it. It's so very sensitive, but allow me to do so. 6 miscarriages and a long story. Why don't you talk to us about it?
Thank you so much, Poonam, for having me on this panel. And this gives me a chance to not only share my story, but I hope it brings about a sense of understanding for many others. And maybe it can give some hope to those that are struggling with infertility. I'm happy to talk about this. And I'm sitting in Lahore today, but you see, my story is very common. You'll find this in India, in anywhere, in any part of the world. And I suffer from endometriosis, acute endometriosis, and I couldn't have a child. So I went through the worst infertility that, I came across. And infertility is very isolating, whether it's in a family unit or at workplace. It's very isolating. You will not find the suitable support mechanism that you require. Sometimes those closest to you will not understand, and it comes from a point of not having that experience.
Right.
So they've never had that experience, and then you're put in this little box where you're all alone. And trust me, when you're going through infertility, all kinds of toxic emotions, there's so much happening in your body with you wanting a child. You're going through all those treatments, and then you club it with the pressure of work, of maintaining. And I find this very fascinating that we always glorify and romanticize womanhood. माँ है तो मतलब, if you're a mother, your status is so high. You're put under this microscope that, oh, you have to be perfect. I mean, I don't know why multitasking is always expected of women and not of the other gender. And I'm not trying to criticize one gender over the other. It's just that the patriarchy just seeps in with such expectations. And what my experiences taught me was that I don't know about the rest of the world, but there's very little understanding. First of all, infertility is a very, very expensive journey. I mean, if bigger corporations or even smaller ones lend help to all those that are suffering from it, it would go a long way to kind of helping in them in the situation that they're in. But from a bigger conversation, I think those of us who go through infertility, we don't want to be part of a pity party.
Correct.
And it's you talked about cancer and you talked about diabetes. Now these are well researched diseases that you talk to someone, you said, oh, I suffer from high blood pressure, and all of a sudden there's a particular context that they'd be like, oh, I know, I understand what you're going through. But when you talk of infertility, I don't think a lot of people understand. And that's where the challenge lies.
You are right, Rama, because I don't think we understand infertility even as a disease.
No, we don't.
What you're
and
speaking,
the last thing I'd like to
please.
Poonam, I'd like to say is that I know we speak, oh, miscarriage tha, there must be something wrong with the child, it didn't develop. But I swear to you, जिस दिन माँ pregnant होती है ना, जिस दिन एक husband wife है and they find out or they start to plan, उनके लिए वो औलाद है. That's when they start to have the dreams about that son or daughter, and the entire plan for their life has been made. So I always have this, I want to say that we miscarriage nahi hai, we lose our children.
True. Absolutely. This makes me think, do we have infertility insurance? I hope insurance companies are listening. Do we have? I'm not aware of. I think looking at the numbers, this could be a great opportunity for insurance companies to pitch in. Rama, thank you so much. I am definitely going to come back to you. Let's move on to Preeti. Preeti, although a significant and growing number of families are grappling with fertility issues, as all your fellow panelists has also mentioned about, most company policies aren't designed with those issues in mind. Companies that work to support employees in this phase of family planning will attract and retain good talent and bolster inclusion efforts. As Varna Mears puts it, diversity is being invited to the party. Diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. Do you think that we need policies that also work in the pre-maternity phase for employees?
Absolutely, Poonam. I think this is a extremely, extremely critical agenda for all of us. So let me take a step back. I think the more you talk about infertility, the more you realize that you aren't alone. I mean, you look at the panel members, and when we have conversations as HR and leaders in our organizations, we need to talk more about it and realize that we aren't alone. I think the sisterhood or brotherhood of infertility reaches further than all of us can even imagine, and the numbers are there. The statistics are there to support that. Inclusive education, it's a dynamic, ever-evolving approach that kind of requires ongoing reflection and continuous enhancement by all of us, by the government, by all the private organizations. And as HR, I can definitely say for us to continue to refresh and review our policies and processes and guidelines because the work environment requires for us to give these flexibilities to
True.
both men and women who require more help and support when they are trying to conceive. They need a work environment which is not causing them as much stress. They are trying to get into a work life balance situation so that they can focus on this critical agenda. However, even the most progressive companies are still learning how to offer the best work environment, policies, flexibilities that are required by these employees, like I said. But in my view, it also starts with you, the employee, with all of us. We need to talk openly about this agenda. We need to introspect. You need to start raising your hand and ask your supervisor, ask your HR head, ask people in your organization, hey, can I get some time off? Or hey, can I get into a half day arrangement? Or in a couple of days in a month, can I work from home? Can I get some more flexibilities? I think the problem is many a times both men and women, because they are so career oriented, or there is this insecurity that this, if they ask a question
Right.
which requires them to seek more flexibility, it will have an impact, an adverse impact on their career, on their performance rating, which in reality it won't. I think the organizations have evolved in the last couple of years. It is a critical agenda. Look how far the maternity and the paternity leaves and the policies have come. And I think it's about time, Poonam, and the entire panel, that we start talking about this agenda, ask the questions, seek support. And I'm very confident the way we are evolving as organizations, we will be more than happy to render that support. I see that change management already creeping into most of the industries.
That's wonderful. I mean, if you said this, it really builds a lot of confidence for people. But you know what, Preeti, the reality is a far cry currently, because what as per you could be the reason for employees to not have that courage to go and forget about talking to the HR. I mean, employees are not even have that kind of confidence to even confide this to their own managers, because suddenly there is an opinion. Oh,
Right.
she or he is going to be. This is not going to work, is not their priority. I want you
Right.
to say that why such inhibitions? What kind of environment have we created currently, and what
So,
HRs
Poonam,
can do?
yeah, so there are a couple of taboos, right, which are associated. The first one is for an employee to even say it out loud,
Yeah,
not even to the partner, but to somebody, that there is a problem. If
yeah,
you're not able to, like if you remember the old movies, right? Two sunflowers come together and bang, there is a baby. There's a song of a hero heroine, bang, there's a baby. So the first one is a psychological one, wherein you
right,
have to tell the world that, oh, there is a problem, there's an issue. And typically in Indian context, the reality is the women, the fingers are more pointed at the women. Something must be wrong with her. But I think it's actually, I won't get sexuality into this. Both men and women, it's a mental taboo for
right.
them to actually confine to anyone in this world that there is a problem. That's the first inhibition that they have. The second is the whole professional, what would it impact from a career perspective. So if I were to tell my HR lead or my boss that, hey, I'm trying, there's a couple of concerns, challenges, I need some more flexibility, will I be viewed as a person who will not be viewed for, whose name will be scratched off any top
Right,
projects, any
right.
upcoming promotion, any upcoming increment? And that also is a taboo, because today, while I understand, Poonam, it is what I'm saying may sound very positive, but I actually want to instill confidence in all of our viewers. I think the biggest mistake we do is we don't ask enough. We don't
Correct.
vocalize this enough. So have the courage to call it out. And like I said, this is not a sole issue. This is not a 1%, 2%. Almost everyone that you talk to, and I think there's enough data points and statistics, is battling with infertility because of the work environment, our lifestyle, our ecosystems. I'm sure Dr. Rishali has already spoken about it. So I think the key is to vocalize it and let go of your inhibitions. It's very 1990s when
And
these
here we
were
start
taboo.
the change, right? And here we
Absolutely.
start the change with hashtag #VToo. So, okay,
Absolutely.
great. Aarti, let's just move into you now. With growing competition in the job market, it's a very specific question now. The earlier years of career building can involve longer work hours. More time spent traveling for work and getting more education. For women, this time often overlaps with the prime years, the biological clock that we say. of childbearing. Some women feel they face an either or situation, build a career or have a child. For a growing number of women, delaying motherhood until their careers are well established feels like the right decision. What would be your view on this viewpoint and how employers should look at this?
I think it's a personal choice, but I totally agree with you that with the demand and with the change currently, so the biological clock and a lot of things comes into women's mind when they have to balance between their career and their longing to have kids as well. So it should be a personal choice first of all. When it comes to how employees should support, I would say that in the wake of huge social and political changes over the past decade, leading organizations, they are taking steps to increase the diversity, equality, and inclusion. Nonetheless, growth is in most these sectors are sluggish, and we have seen, and I think we should accept that there are some serious steps which organizations and even employees, they have to take if they want more inclusive and diverse environment. Infertility is fairly common, I would say. Every other person is facing that, whether they accept it or they openly talk about it or not. But there is a stigma related to infertility, which often hinders people from sharing what they are going through and what support they need. It's already a very isolating experience, I would say. But what I have seen that employees these days, they view the ideal workplace as a supportive environment that gives space to varied perspective on given issue, be it infertility or what support they need, or whether it is disability or anything else. So in my viewpoint, if organization want to succeed in designing a wellness program to increase diversity and inclusion in the workplace, then it's important for them to take proactive measures and offer educational resources. Second thing is authentic support. It's not just what law makes it mandate, for employers to provide. It's more like an authentic support, and also, communication as part of the healthcare benefit. Because when it comes to infertility, people are not open to talk about infertility because maybe some of them are embarrassed to talk about some or any other personal issue, and while others are reluctant to speak to their employers because they fear doing so will detrimentally affect their careers, or
right.
They may be discriminated against for openly admitting that they want to have kids, they want to grow their family. So there is stigma around it, there is taboo around it, and we have to accept that. So
I think this panel is trying to break that stigma. I hope it reaches out to as many people, because today we have taken the step of talking about it and normalizing it. We are in 2021. We can't be thinking and talking and doing things what used to happen in 1970. It's a different world altogether.
Exactly.
Well said, Aarti. Let me quickly move on to Dr. Soumya Badkayan right now. Dr. Soumya, research shows that experiencing infertility can have a tremendous impact on the daily life and professional roles of women. Now, going through it in silence hinders women from receiving support from their employers throughout the process. That is exactly what everyone is trying to say. A Harvard Business Review, through its research, found out that the following work-related side effects, especially the problematic ones, are feeling loss of support by either of the gender, a silent experience, holding back your emotions, or feeling helpless. What would be your view on this?
So thank you for that beautiful question, Poonam. So in short, I would just like to say something. हम मातृत्व को किसी भी महिला के पूर्णता का प्रतीक मानते हैं, which means that we feel that motherhood is the everything or is defining moment for a woman.
Correct.
It's not the truth. It is certainly not the truth. A woman can be a nurturer, a provider, a leader, a statesman. We have varied panelists here, sitting here, and we are talking so much more. So it is beyond a motherhood. शादी होती साथ है बेटा लड्डू कब खिला रही हो अरे रुको okay let me first know my husband लड्डू मिल जाएगा आपको so हमारे साथ होता क्या है कि जैसे ही हम पढ़ाई करके निकलते हैं so शादी कर दो so the first thing starts there so हमारी education and the marriage runs parallelly the first promotion is always in conjunction to the first child most of us have seen that
right
and uske baad when you are on a maternity leave hamare samay mein 3 mahine ki hoti thi ab अमूमन लोगों को 9 महीने की मिलने लग गई है but when that happens it also means that oh she's not worked for 9 months and we've still paid her so what's the use of giving her a promotion or additional responsibility she'll be all the time running after the child
true
correct so that's the second point when all this is going around we as women make a choice let's delay it like what a doctor has said here that once we start delaying it we all have to accept a biological clock that is also ticking that is not going to listen to your career progression your education your married life and whatever is going on that has its own way so now we have technology to rescue we can freeze the eggs we can go in for surrogacy, we can go in for adoption, but people don't want to try these routes.
correct
People want, भाई मेरे ही कोख से जन्म ले तो ही मेरा बच्चा है क्यों? Why? All right. Secondly, when we have these maternity laws, when we have paternity laws, हम surrogacy के समय, we give people leave. We also, in Gold Star, the company that I represent, we are giving people leaves for miscarriages. In fact, we are going even beyond it. We have seen people like now the Gen Z and the millennials are opting not to go the family way, the traditional way that we know. They are opting that we don't want to have kids. So उसकी जगह वो क्या करते हैं? But हर किसी के अंदर एक nurturing nature तो होता ही है. So they go in for pets. So we give them pet paternity leave. So when we can do all of this, then why not for us? Why not have an all-inclusive society? And let's not do it just for the cosmetic reasons. कि भाई 2 ticks लगा दिए, बस मेरा काम तो हो गया. HR ने काम कर लिया. भाई we are giving you a shoulder. आके बात कर ले हमसे. That does not work in the real world. We need to walk the talk. We need to really be the flag bearer. And with that, I would say that unless and until we don't give an opportunity to women to come around and actually express that, see, there is a problem, I may need certain amount of leaves, please bear with me, please have that understanding and empathetic. हम बहुत empathy की बात करते हैं HR leaders, okay, but do we really have that? So once we have the empathy, I think our job is done.
You're absolutely right. I think you very well put, very well put. All right. So this was like a nice, very, very variety of views that have come. I quickly want to go to Dr. Vrishali before we wrap up. Dr. Vrishali, Dr. Soumya just mentioned about freezing of the eggs. Why don't you educate our audience quickly, what really it means when you talk about freezing eggs and how career-oriented women can make use of it?
Right. So egg freezing is a beautiful technology that we are all blessed with in the modern era. Not only, egg freezing is going to help us to preserve our fertility and utilize those eggs for our own benefit, but egg freezing your own eggs can also benefit your future generation. For example, I had a discussion with you, I remember. So basically what happens is when I freeze my eggs, for example, I'm a lady at the age of 21 and I know I have a massive career graph because I choose medicine. And normally what happens is in medicine, you have a massive learning, like a long duration of learning experience that you need to have. So I realized this, and this basically has to be supported by the parents, because no child at the age of 21 is going to take that call. So when parents know that my child is going to, is deciding to be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer, which is going to require her to basically take her own time to study, settle down and have a child, they should first and foremost talk about them. Now, this happens by and large in countries like US, South Korea, Japan, this is extremely widely spoken all across the globe, except for our Asian countries, like UAE, India, China, Sri Lanka. We are very conservative countries. Unfortunately, I don't know why, in spite of having the technology, parents don't speak about this. So this is the first thing that I would recommend. When we have our children growing up, we should imbibe these cultures within us. Second thing is, when a lady freezes her eggs, she can utilize those eggs as and when she requires, when she feels like having a child, so she can also ensure there's adequate spacing of fertilities. So I'm not running in that kind of a situation where I'm always thinking, oh my goodness, I have a promotion now. Someone said about that experience when, like you have a promotion and you say, no, I don't want to take it. Why? Because my priorities have changed. No, now my eggs are like safely there in the form of a fixed deposit, or like a stock market. I have my investments I have made, and they are safe, and they're not going to grow old. They're always going to be better. So I choose my egg to be inside my womb and get fertilized. Second thing, if I happen to remarry, if I happen to have a marriage where I'm separated, isn't it? And now I don't want to have, say maybe at the age of 35, 36, when women want to remarry, like first time they get married very early, that time you can make use of those frozen eggs to have a pregnancy with another man who you're settled with. So that option also gets open for you when you freeze your eggs. Third thing
Let's
is,
call it women empowerment, is it?
egg empowerment. Yeah.
Empowerment.
Third thing is, like if someone happens to lose their child, like if you're at the age of 40, 45, because of some mishaps, there being, like, you never know, sometimes a woman can lose her only child in any kind of an accident, or you can have a child who gets in, gets into a bad, what do we say, terminal illness at the age of 21, 22. There have been stories where women have had their children diagnosed with terminal blood cancer at the age of 18, at the age of 19, and when they have lost their children. So that time they can make use of their eggs which they had frozen when they were young, isn't it? So that is the time. Fourth thing is, as a social cause, that there is someone who suffers from, say, premature ovarian failure. It's an entity where no one knows why women, they go into a premature menopause. So before even someone would realize, at the age of 22, 23 also, there are girls who come with absolutely no periods for the last 6, 7 months, 8 months, having hot flashes, everything, and a sonography and a blood test will show that their ovaries are completely extinct of good quality oocytes to conceive. So that time we can do the social cause where we can donate our frozen eggs to the society. Third and the last thing is that, like I suggested, in the future generation, you never know. Like, for example, if I knew that my eggs, or if, say, for example, in our own family, if someone is born with an entity wherein she cannot basically have her own eggs to conceive because she's got some genetic problems, in that case, if anyone in the family had frozen her eggs, you can pass it on to your generations. So that is how beautifully you can utilize this egg freezing as a concept. And I think we should, in fact, I'm making a drive and I'm educating a lot of women. Unfortunately, it is not that much accepted in our society. But by and large, independent women who are given the poverty, sorry, the power, I'm sorry,
right.
poverty, the women who have got the power to take their own fall, they are definitely opting for this particular option these days.
Amazing. Amazing. I think this what you mentioned is, a lot of women are going to take inspiration and feel that it is all normal. Rama, let's come to you as a wrap up of the session. I'll come around to everyone now after Dr. Vaishali. Rama, what is that, if you were to define in one sentence, how we can create infertility informed policies in organizations and sensitize HRs more? What would be that mission statement you want to give out? We'll start with you, Rama.
I'm trying to unmute. I don't know if I am unmute.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to say one thing. I'm not sure how well it's going to be taken. Unfortunately, I've learned through my life experiences that there's a time to have these things. I'm not going to say motherhood came to me am I still being heard?
Yes, you are.
Motherhood came to me at a later stage, and I did struggle. I don't have the kind of energy I would have wanted.
We have lost you, Rama. Your screen is Let's quickly move on to Preeti, and I'll have Rama back. Preeti, your vision statement to employers.
Sorry, trying to.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I don't have a mission statement for employers. Sorry, but I truly
Your wish
believe
list. Your wish list. One line wish list.
One thought that was going in my mind when I was listening to all the panelists was, the greater the storm, the brighter the rainbow. And let's just go ahead. Let's create that storm so that we can all experience that rainbow. So let's vocalize your asks, vocalize that, I do need that help and support. And to all the HR heads and business heads in the industry out there, an appeal from all of us as panelists is that I think it's about time that we hear people. We give them the required flexibilities. I think we've started in that direction, but we need to do more. So I think if you were to ask me for a quote, the greater the storm, the brighter the rainbow.
Well said, well said. Aarti, what would be your concluding statement?
Yeah, again, it's not the mission statement, but again, an appeal to both employees and employers. When it comes to employers, I would appeal them to be more authentic when they are, providing the support and the era of benefits to their employees. And when it comes to employee, I would say they should not hesitate seeking those authentic supports from the employers and be more vocal about what they want.
Absolutely. Rama, do we have Rama back? All right.
Absolutely.
Yes, Rama. Great. So, you're back. Yes, please.
Companies must provide these couples with some kind of soft loans or some kind of financial benefit, because these are very expensive treatments. Then also, please stop shaming infertile couples. There's a lot of shame attached, and it's not just a taboo. I know I was shamed, and everyone who goes through it, and I know men do also, they have to sometimes take hormones, not in every situation, but women take a lot of hormones. I was given steroids. I was, asked to take a lot of injections, and I did have mood swings. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I did break down. Every time I was told, oh, your eggs aren't doing so well, I would break down at office.
True.
I would have these episodes where I wasn't able to articulate, where I wasn't able to make time for a presentation. So I'm not going to say that it wasn't a difficult journey. However, I will say this, you have, like, this conversation is being, taken into certain direction, that inclusion and diversity calls for more understanding and empathy. All of us, if we want, have the right to have children.
Absolutely. Well said. Dr. Soumya, why don't you just conclude and wrap it up in your unique way of motivational speech? Let's do that. Your mic, please. Dr. Soumya, your mic.
Sorry. So I represent gems and jewelry industry, जहाँ पर हम 4 C's की बात करते हैं: cut, color, clarity, and cat. So उसमें मैं 3 C's और जोड़ना चाहूँगी, which is that compassion. Be compassionate towards your people. That would also come with, the empathy factor. Then communication, very important. You need to communicate with your employees more. Employee is not just the employee, it is reaching their homes as well and knowing what is the trouble or what is brewing in there. Like she said, greater the storm, the brighter is the rainbow. First of all, the storm. And the third is collaborate. You need to have a collaborative, cohesive environment in which everything just couples up together into a beautiful synergy where things get just exchanged in a beautiful way, and it becomes a very nurturing environment. And let's just not, again, do it for the cosmetic reasons. Let's do it for real, because this is a journey which is heartbreaking. Har treatment safal ho jaye, ye hota nahi hai. There are failures in the treatment, and it's like, hope, despair, and that really takes a toll on people psychologically. So we need to have that approach with them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I think in the last 40 minutes, whatever we have spoken is going to create some kind of inspirational difference in the way we have been looking at the situation and reality. As rightly said by everyone, the collaboration, the empathy, and communication is very, very important. It is very, very important for employers to be extending support through diversity and inclusion, and let all of the employees not just think about it, but give them an opportunity to dance. Thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to all of you, and let's hope that we are able to, through this platform of #MeToo, inspire as many women and men as we can. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.